Hey, so I was able to come over to Christopher Cropper. Um, he's a great artist. I've known for I think about 7 years. We go back to '83 Gallery, and we show together, and where I met him. And I'm over at his studio right here, and we'll check out some pieces he's done. I just really love his work. I wanted to get another featured piece done on some artists that I like and I'm moved by. There's different pieces he's done. I've seen some of them, but I haven't seen all the pieces that are down here. Like, I'm really blown away by this one right here. It's really great. Sound like Raymond right there for a second, but then like these ones, I've never seen this one that I remember. I've seen this one before. It's really cool too. But anyway, there's some different pieces. They're ready to go to a show, or some of them are commissions for people. And then this one is crazy. That's a newer one. That's wow. And then of course this one's like awesome. I mean, I love him because I collect his work. But I mean, it's really great. The iconic images of different people and stuff, and they got different things going on. The backgrounds are exploding recently. More than that, they weren't great before, but they're kind of like really going to another level. This one I've never seen, and that's crazy. And then yeah, I got a couple of them here for me. So hey. So anyway, we'll go over here, and so this is Chris. He's busy working. So I just wanted to like show some of his work as he's working here, I guess, and then so like maybe just like a general background, like where'd you start at, like when did you start doing art? And
Well, I was born in 1981. I'm 35. I started doing art when I was really, really young. I mean, I was in elementary school making art. And then in the early 90s, I got into Wolverine and the X-Men, comic books, stuff like that. So I did that for a while. And then when I was around 17, 18, I started getting away from that, and I would go to lock-ins at my church. I grew up in a Baptist church. And when all the other kids were all pumped up on Mountain Dew and running everywhere at 3 o'clock in the morning, I would sit in a corner and draw. And then in my early 20s, I discovered street art and graffiti because I went to the Cleveland Art Museum. My dad's boss at the time bought me a book called Graffito, which is over there. If Arlo wants to follow, I can show everybody.
sure.
This right here is the book responsible for my current art style. After looking at this, I immediately fell in love with street art, graffiti, and when I was about 19 years old, I did my first piece. It was 17 feet long. It had Jesus with a crown of thorns and dreadlocks. There was a guy with headphones on. I had no idea what I was doing. I had never done it previously. I just randomly did it with a friend of mine. He's a great artist. His name is Mark Warren Jacques. Good friend of mine. He's a phenomenal painter. He's had a lot of success. We just went out and did it, and then after me and him stopped doing it together, I wrote with a crew in Columbus called PBJ, which is like the biggest graffiti crew in Columbus. And after I parted ways with them, I just kind of started honing my skills and my style and doing all these weird, sad-looking people over top of abstract, colorful backgrounds with found objects and just random stuff I found laying around, stuff that people have given to me, etc., etc. Like, basically, my work explores urban life and life in general. It's got a lot going on. Each piece is different. That right there is actually Chris Cornell. This is a little bit of a tribute piece to Chris Cornell because he was amazing. We've lost so many talented musicians, and this is a blind old guy that gets carts at the Meijer in Grove City named Tom. I used to work there, and I know Tom, so I thought it'd be cool to put him in there. And they were doing all this paving out by my house, so that's why there's all this orange and black lettering and Columbus has a lot of breweries in it, so you got a brew thing, like a bottle of some kind of spirits right there, and a girl, and I don't know. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I think I have a very unique style. I mean, there's other artists out there all over the U.S. doing work similar to mine and like I do, but my work is very recognizable. I think it's pretty approachable. It's obviously not for everybody. You know, your typical Bible thumper soccer mom that has 6 kids probably isn't going to hang a painting on her wall with people in them that have bags under their eyes and weird stuff in them. But that's fine. Everybody's got different tastes.
Well, maybe this one. I mean,
yeah, something like this. This is for Lacquer Gallery
Yeah.
in Victorian Village. This is a custom piece that I was asked to do. But typically, I mean, I'm very versatile. I can do a little bit of everything, and that's the beauty of being an artist and having a natural ability. Is you're like a chameleon. You know, when you've been doing it as long as I have, you learn to do a little bit of everything and be versatile with your work, especially when it comes to commissions. I mean, commissions can be fun, they can be wonderful, and they can be a pain in the ass because you never know how the person's going to react. I've been lucky enough to where basically everyone I've ever done, people have liked them, but they're kind of, I don't know what the word is, it's like, it's a risk. It's kind of like playing cards. You know, you put money down for supplies and materials. You spend a ton of time on it. And if you get really lucky, the person likes it. So that's really about it. Arlo, you have any more questions?
yeah, I mean, so for as far as your influences and everything, and then you went to some schools you were talking about before, like.
Well, my influences range anywhere from Jean-Michel Basquiat to Vincent van Gogh to Dave Kinsey, Shepard Fairey, I mean, Andy Warhol, the list goes on and on. I mean,
Yeah.
For those of you that aren't familiar with Dave Kinsey, he's a street artist. He used to be business partners with Shepard Fairey, and I'm sure y'all know who he is. He's the Obey Giant guy. They used to be business partners in L.A., and Dave Kinsey, his older work is similar to mine. It had people with bags under their eyes and long noses and stuff. And a good friend of mine named Jacob Brenzel, you guys need to follow this dude if you haven't already. His Instagram is The Snake Pretzel, works at Evolved. He told me the other day that my work reminds him of a mashup of Basquiat.
Oh yeah, we were talking about your influences, and you were going through some of them. And that's pretty cool. And then maybe well, not to cut you off on that. That's fascinating, actually, because it's nice to see who you either emulated or how that filters into your work. It's interesting, you know. Then you were talking about you went to school for a while. I don't know. I think that's kind of an interesting element.
I had a $28,000 scholarship to the Columbus College of Art and Design, and I dropped out after a semester. The reason for that, I wasn't living on campus. I was commuting. I had a full-time job at the Gap Warehouse in Groveport. I had no life. I never slept. The classes, except for 2 of them, were complete, basically, bullshit, in my opinion. I mean, I had this one class called 3D Design, where I had to take wood and attach little squares to upstanding rectangles on a platform. And then I had to do that exact same thing out of mat board. And it was stupid. And the people there, the kids that I went to school with the exception of a chick named Winter and a guy named Anthony, everyone else that was there was in their own little clique. They didn't talk to me. It was like high school all over again. Here I am thinking I'm going to get to art school, and there's going to be all these people that are weird and eccentric and bohemian. I see all these kids running around wearing Abercrombie. People have a right to wear what they want, dress how they want, but it's basically, I learned how to draw an apple photorealistic when I was 11 years old, and mommy and daddy pay for everything, so I'm going to go to art school. It was a joke. I hated it.
I thought it was more positive. I'm sorry.
It was a joke. It sucked. I don't need it. I've lost count over the years of how many people have said, you should go back to school. You can make more money. There's student loans available. Well, guess what? I'm not trying to be in debt till I'm 50.
Yeah,
so
that's probably smart.
I'm not. I have no interest in going back to school. I have it in my blood. I know what I'm doing. I have
Right.
connections. I don't need it. So
So these pieces you're working on right here, what's this heart piece? What's that? I mean, is that just you were like, hey, I'm going to do a heart piece, or how did that come
no,
about?
that
How'd
is
that come about?
That's for Evolved. My dude,
Okay,
my
sweet.
dude Jake at Evolved asked me to do a custom piece for the shop.
Okay, awesome.
So that's what that's for, and the one on top is just one of my own.
And like, how do you like select the colors, or what's the process when you started to do a painting? Like, okay,
Like whatever pops into my head, whatever I
Okay.
feel like doing, I just do it and I roll with it.
all right. I always like the way you do the faces. It's like as far as your process, like this one, you start laying out different colors first. You always do that like that, or different ways that not everybody knows. I know a lot about what you do, but as far as the video, you mean, not everybody knows like how it's like you start.
Like I
putting-
said, dude, like
Yeah.
I decide what I want to do.
Right,
There's all the paint right there.
right,
I pick out a color, I just start going to town on it, and eventually it's done. I mean, I don't have like a blueprint.
right.
I mean, I have a formula, I have a process, a way of doing it, but I'm not like there's a lot.
Yeah.
Every artist is different. All painters are different. I don't lay down a grid. I don't sketch things out. I don't put tracing paper down and trace everything. I
Right,
do it all by hand,
right.
freehand. So that's how I roll.
It's pretty cool. I mean, I'm just I don't know. Talk about process really fascinating.
Oh, you're good, man.
It's like these are just different shapes you've been working on. It's a little different than you've been working on before. Don't you think? I think so. I don't know.
Well, that right there is actually a plastic grocery bag from a random ass
That's cool.
ghetto grocery store or bodega.
So I like how you incorporate different components to the actual canvases or whatever you're working on, panel or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it gives it a different, interesting element that you don't see everybody doing, or
Well, thanks, man. I do too.
fascinating
That's why I do
like
it.
element to it.
Yeah, that's the whole reason I do it.
And this one, like I said, like this one's kind of a unique one because you didn't do like a face on this one. Most of the
No.
pieces you do like faces on, which is fine. I mean, I love those. I think it's kind of interesting because it's different, like the shape. I don't know. I just think you've been exploding a little bit differently than you have before. You were already killing it before, but like for instance, this one too. It's just shapes, and you got like a lot of incorporated materials in there. I mean,
Those are tree trunks on the bottom.
okay, sweet. That's really awesome. All right, that's all I want to do. Just like do a little interview and talk about the art and how you deal with stuff and produce the art and what your influences are, and check out some of his art. He's going to be doing shows. He's got one at Evolve right now, and
Evolved on campus across from the Wexner Center next to Buckeye Donut.
remember you're going to have some other shows later this year.
Yeah. And just FYI, everybody, whoever watches this, I want everyone to know, if you go into Evolved on campus to check out the work, I'll tell you about the other shows in a minute. The prices are not set in stone. I've got some in there for close to $200. If you want it bad enough, I'll knock 20 or 30 bucks off. That's how I roll. I'm not established yet. I don't make a living off of this. I have a day job. I work at a family-owned restaurant in Grove City called Planks. I wash dishes. I'm not making a living off of this. A lot of times people assume that when an artist has a price for a piece, that's set in stone and that they won't take any less. Well, like I said, it's all negotiable. I'm willing to work with any budget. After Evolved, my work will be at the Lacquer Gallery Salon in Victorian Village for the month of July. And then in October, I'll be in Manhattan with this guy, Arlo, right here. Our good friend Josh Parker at Parker Pop Shop on Instagram, at Art of Arlo Moon on Instagram. And our good friend Billy Arnold, he's W.E. Arnold on Instagram. You all need to follow those guys. We're going to Manhattan for an art show in October, the 11th through the 14th. And then before we leave, I'll have a solo at Brothers Drake Meadery in the Short North. The first weekend of September for Gallery Hop, I'll be doing live painting. So definitely come out, check it out, buy some mead, show a local artist some support. I don't know the exact date yet. Once I figure that out, I'll post it on Facebook. And then there's some other shows coming up. One in October, one in December, but I don't want to really mention those right now.
Kind of
Still in the works. It's early. I don't even have work done. So that's what's going on with me.
That's good. Well, I'm glad to have interviewed you. I can't talk. We'll put it on the show, YouTube, and so we can get some hits, so we can expose people to your work.